Great Spectacle Boxing. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Also, hit the bell notification. That way you can stay updated on the latest content from the channel. So, bless you. Great Spectacle Boxing. I'm here with another video. Man, as always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build up more viewership, so I can keep bringing you more videos and give more content onto my channel, man. And I just want to see the support. If you like what I'm saying, if you don't like what I'm saying, but you do enjoy the videos, please subscribe, man. We can debate these all day, man. I have no problem. This video today is obviously about Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, and I want to do a breakdown, not a fight breakdown, but a breakdown of skills. So I've had this argument several different times, and I have had these arguments in the comment sections of other people's videos on Twitter, Instagram, all the social media, and it remains the same. You cannot tell me that from what I call the eye test, my judgment of what I see, that Mikey Garcia has more skills than Errol Spence. And I told you I would go and bring up the skills. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna debunk all the skills, going one by one on what I feel the skills are and skills advantage that Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence, and who I feel is better in what area. And man, just spoiler alert, it's not looking good for Mikey. All right, let's start with speed. Speed, a lot of times you think of, hand speed, right? And Mikey Garcia, being the naturally smaller guy, you're gonna think, oh, well, Mikey Garcia has hand speed. He does. He has pretty decent hand speed. It's not great. It wasn't great in all the other weight classes, but he did have some good hand speed down when he was in the lower weight class in 126 to 130 range. Once he got up to 135, you see he was a lot more patient because he had to respect the power of the guys that was in that weight class. So the speed that Mikey has been coming up with, that speed has slowed down as he's went up in weight. That's why a lot of his focus has been on his speed, because his speed has been going tremendously down. If you look at the fight with Robert Easter, you look at the fight with Adrian Broner at 140, his reflexes were a little bit slower. It took him some time to warm up in that fight to actually kind of time Adrian Broner, because he didn't have the hand speed that he normally has in those smaller weight classes with a little bit more bulk on him. And I don't think he was in the greatest shape. I think he was in really good shape, in fight shape, but he wasn't in the greatest shape. He's never been like the greatest fitness guy, athletic guy. So you can see it in his body makeup and the genetics. He's really pudgy around the middle, so he doesn't even look like he's always in that great of shape. He looks pretty decent when he drains the weight down, but he doesn't just look like he's some Greek god or something when he's working out. He's still a little pudgy, little chunky cheeks, Mikey Garcia. But like I say, coming up in weight, getting more muscle, that's gonna slow down that speed, that hand speed. He's not adjusted to that weight class. He only had one camp coming to the weight class. Errol Spence has a speed, some of the best speed in this division. Him, Amir Khan, Terrence Crawford has some of the best hand speed. But I put Amir Khan and Terrence Crawford way above Errol Spence in the speed category as a hand speed. But I'm just saying, he has some of the top speed up in the 147 division, and you getting acclimated and trying to carry up with that weight. Mikey is not the fastest guy. He's a good timing guy, so I'm going to give the hand speed advantage to Errol Spence in this one. So that skill of speed, hand speed, I'm going to give that to Errol Spence, right? So the second one, let's go to power, right? Mikey Garcia has power, right? But he had that power at 130, at 135. He had some success at 140, but it proved that he couldn't. A guy he even hurt, he couldn't even knock out, because as you going up in weight, it gets harder to knock these guys out who are top fighters and more so can take your punches and really are literally the bigger guys, in these fights. Mikey Garcia is a very small guy. So when it comes to power, it's a no-brainer from that standpoint. Errol Spence is on a nine fight knockout streak. He's get rid of guys. You can see those thudding punches when he's punching these guys. You can look at it and tell it hurts. And that power is heads and heels above Mikey Garcia, which he's practicing power. You look up there in those videos, them snack videos. He's practicing for power. But I don't think one training camp is going to help him bring that power that he had at 130, 135 up to 147. He has struggled with that power, bringing that power up to 140. I thought that he put enough punches on Adrian Broner. I didn't see Adrian Broner really hurt in the fight. I've seen him, he was tagged a lot, but I didn't see him really affected as like he was hurt the same way that like Maidana hurt Adrian Broner in that fight. So the power edge, I'm going to give again to Errol Spence. So we got speed and power. I'm telling you, that's heads and heels above Mikey. Is going to go to Errol Spence. Defense. All right. So this is the one that everybody says that, Mikey has a great defense. I've seen Mikey get tagged a lot. I see Mikey in the Robert Easter fight. I felt Mikey took a lot of punches because he doesn't have the best defense. He finds himself falling back sometime, like straight back. And instead of like using that head speed, and it's mostly when Mikey gets tired, he gets fatigued, and that defense starts to come down a little bit. He's not as good. And Mikey is a guy who's willing to trade. He stays in the pocket too long sometimes, and he does get tagged. He gets hurt. You know what I mean? He gets when you fatigue sets in. Sometimes you get careless, and you get timed as well. So when it comes to defense, let's look at Errol Spence, who they say doesn't have defense, right? Errol Spence catches a lot of those punches on the gloves. He pulls, and he reflexes and hits all in the same motion. All right. A lot of the other punches he's catching on the gloves in his defense where he's shelled up. Right. So when he's coming in and he's not really moving his head, but you're not penetrating his defense. Why? Because he also uses offense as defense. So as long as he's throwing and hurting you and putting his punch output on you, then he's actually in those moments actually on defense, using his offense as defense. But one of the main things is I've seen Errol Spence hit a lot. And people say, well, he get hit a lot. Have you ever seen him hurt? Have you ever seen him knocked down? So if he has fought against bigger guys, Kilbrook. I didn't see him hurt by Kilbrook. I didn't see him knocked down. And everybody, that he has fought, really he's been a defensive guy as far as like catching a lot of it on the gloves and turning that defense straight into offense. So again, the defense edge, I'm going to go again. That skill, I'm going to give to Errol Spence from the defensive standpoint, because he catches a lot of it on his gloves. He's always in a good range, so that he's not right inside of the pocket too long. He's quicker in and out of range, getting his punches off and then getting out of range and restarting. And he does this over and over until he breaks down his opponent. So that defense, part of that is the range, which I'm going to get to in a second. But let's go to the next one. So defense, speed, power, defense, I've given to Errol Spence. The next thing, let's go to footwork, ring generalship, right? That is a skill. The footwork that you use, all right? And I feel Mikey has decent footwork. I don't think he has great and superior footwork. I believe Errol Spence has great and superior footwork. The reason why is when Errol Spence is cutting off the ring, he's usually cutting off the ring with every step. So even if he's trailing you, his step is stepping to the outside to where you're forced back to his left hand. So being that he is a southpaw fighter, as he's stepping to you, he's cutting off the ring with every step. So even when you're retreating from him, he's stepping to the right in a trailing motion following you. So he's cutting you off with every step. You cannot go to the right because he's stepping to the right. But he also, if you were to lean back or come back to the left, he's in position to throw the left hand. So even when he has you on a retreat and he's following you, he's cutting you off with every step. So you see a lot of these guys get smothered. You seen it versus Chris Algieri. You seen it with Kell Brook when he was hurt. You see it with Lamont Peterson, which Lamont traded with him, which was a dumb game plan. But he was in position, in range, and able to cut Lamont off, even if he did try to retreat a couple steps back. He had no choice. You know, he had started that style of fighting. He had to honor that that Errol Spence's footwork always keeps him in range and in position to throw punches and get out of his footwork actually helps him get out of range also really quickly. All right, the next thing, so we got speed, power, defense, footwork. So let me go to Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia could cut off the ring as well. Let me talk about his footwork. Mikey Garcia knows how to cut off the ring. I just don't think it's superior cutting when it's cutting off the ring. I see Mikey following guys a lot. He's very patient and very disciplined, so he doesn't get overwhelmed. He doesn't chase guys, like he's not running behind them. He just takes his time and he moves when they move. So he's not always cutting the ring off, but he's putting himself in a position to restart at some point when this guy does stop. That's why Mikey Garcia doesn't. I don't feel like he really wants to fight a guy with like Terrence Crawford with really good footwork that can move in a slick boxer, because he cannot cut the ring off very good. And if he's fighting a guy who can fight off the back foot and can hit him actually while he's fighting backwards, then I believe he would have too many problems. That'll be too much for Mikey to handle in a fight, in which I would have Mikey easily losing on points, because he's just not that good at cutting the ring off. He does a lot of trailing and following and then waiting for the opportunity to reset and then counter. He's not a really come forward guy. He has came forward on some smaller fighters, but that is not his MO. He's not really a come forward guy because he's not that good at footwork as putting himself in position to where he can really cut the ring off on a consistent basis and keep a guy where he wants to keep him. So again, the ring footwork, I'm going to give it to Errol Spence because of his ring generalship and being able to get in and out of range and cut the ring off with every step. Mikey does a lot of trailing. I'm going to give that skill, again, heads and heels above Mikey Garcia in footwork. Go back and look at some of the fights with Mikey Garcia. Go back and look at some of the fights with Errol Spence. Pretty much pay attention to the way they move around the ring, and I'm telling you, heads and heels above Mikey. You're gonna see Errol Spence every time cutting off the ring with that right foot, getting those guys back towards his left hand, in which he can throw the left hand, throw the left hooks, throw the left hook to the body. And if they do come too forward right, he's already in a position for right hooks, and the jab. So the next point, let's get down to quickness. Quickness is different from speed, and I cannot preach this enough. Quickness is different from speed, and this goes to some of Errol Spence's athleticism. The guy is a very good reflex guy, right? He stays out of range. As soon as he's in range, he's quick putting in combinations, and he's back out of range. Mikey has a little quickness in timing. So Mikey doesn't have the greatest speed, but Mikey is a very quick fighter. Like he can counter you on a dime. So when it comes to quickness, I give Mikey a very high grade on quickness because of the timing. Mikey does have good reflexes and quickness. He's able to snap that right hand out there behind the jab it's his bread and butter 1-2, but he's able to snap that right hand out of there very quick, and when he's in a position to counter. That's why Mikey likes a fighter who's able to come forward a little bit on him, because he likes the counter. That fits his style, pretty good, right? But that's at 130, 135. I don't think that transitions up to 140, 147. I feel, and I'll get to that in a moment, but I feel that 140 mess that Mikey was doing, I'll get to that in a moment. Next, let's go to range. Okay, these guys fight at different ranges, right? Sometimes you'll see Mikey, for the most part, likes to stay close because he's a very patient fighter in there, and he's gonna time you, right? And he needs it because he's a shorter guy. He needs to be close in range. Errol Spence, however, you'll see is out of range for the most part of the fight. He is always out of range. He fights, steps back out of range. So he steps in, fights you, gets in the trenches, exchanges, and then he's back out of range for your offense. And that is a good strategy. Then he resets. He does this over and over again. This wears down the opponent. Getting in and out of range, this opponent doesn't know when he's able to counter, when he's able to let off some offense, if you're gonna even be there, if he's gonna waste those punches. And you see a lot of guys wasting punches because or not even being able to pull the trigger on it, because by the time he's in and then back out of range, a lot of these guys can't find Errol in the ring, he's not in a position to be hit back. That's a part of his defense, is his range. He's always in range, then back out of range. In range, and this guy has this. He's been getting better since the first time I've ever seen him fight, right? And this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. By 2014 is the first time I seen Errol Spence fight. And the guy has been mastering the range in which he fights. He's in range, then he's back out of. He's in range, then he's back. He has gotten a feel for the range, and I feel like that is a skill that's heads and heels above Mikey Garcia, being in range and then back out of range. Mikey Garcia, on the other hand, he's a lot of times close in range. He has to try to take a few chances to be close in range because he's the shorter guy, and if a guy isn't coming forward on him, then he has to take those chances, and I think that gets Mikey in some trouble. Because he doesn't have the quickness on his feet, the footwork to be in and out of that range. He has good head movement on his defense, but he doesn't have that quickness on his footwork to be in the range and then back out of the range. Mikey is a guy who has been known to have some endurance issues and get tired. But let's say speed, power, defense, footwork and ring generalship, quickness and reflexes, and range. I've scored all these as skills that Errol Spence is heads and heels above Mikey Garcia. And that's just my opinion. That's what I see from the eye test. That's how I see and break down the fight every time I'm looking at these guys, which I give Mikey a lot of credit. I like Mikey at 135. I like Mikey to top out at 140. I don't think Mikey is going to be able to compete with these guys at 147. But I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, the next thing I have is athleticism. No, discipline. This is where I give Mikey the edge. When it comes to discipline, I'm gonna give Mikey that edge. Mikey is an extremely patient person, but that's because Mikey doesn't have all the rest of the tools that Errol Spence has to take those chances, get in the range and get out of range. Mikey has to be very disciplined. Mikey has to be very patient, because Mikey doesn't possess some of these other skills to do some of the stuff that Earl's doing. And with that said, it is gonna be tough for me to give Mikey the nod in this fight. But again, I believe over Errol Spence, the skill of discipline and patience, that's gonna be a notch that goes in for Mikey Garcia. So I'm gonna try to wrap this video up, man. I only got a few more points to go, but again, so far I've gave speed, power, defense, the footwork, ring generalship, quickness and reflex, range, all to Errol Spence. The first thing I've given Mikey as a better skill than Errol Spence is the discipline and patience. And the reason being is because Mikey has to be disciplined and patience. He doesn't have the room for error to be able to take as many chances at this point in his career of going up against much larger guys, because he does not possess the speed, power, defense, footwork, ring generalship, and quickness on the same level of Errol Spence. So let's close this out. I have 2 more points. Let's go to athleticism. Okay, we're going back to athleticism. And with the eye test, man, you can see Errol Spence is heads and heels above Mikey Garcia when it comes to athleticism. He moves around the ring a lot more fluid than a Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is much more methodical in his movement. Errol Spence is able to show very big glimpses of quickness, speed, in and out, around, step around, hooks with the hand speed. You know, it's all because of his athleticism, his genetic makeup, that makes him a much greater fighter, because he can take more chances, because the skill level and the God-gifted talent of athleticism is a lot more in favor of the younger, stronger, faster Errol Spence. There's no way that I can put it. He possesses the speed that he possesses at 147. As for Mikey, who had a little speed down at 126, 130, I don't feel like showed that same speed at 135, 140. And it really, so 135, I still give him some speed, but at 140, definitely not. He did not have the same speed at 140 that he had at 135. At 130, 126. All right, so athleticism, man, I don't think I need to go. You can look at the body makeup and look how athletically lean that Errol Spence is. You can look at some of the videos and slides that I put up here. The way that he moves, the way that he's able to punch and be very quickly, his body physique. This is heads and heels above Mikey Garcia, man. I don't have to argue that point. Let's move on, man. So again, speed, power, defense, footwork, the footwork and ring generalship, quickness, reflexes, range, discipline. Range and athleticism has all went to Errol Spence as a notch skill. Discipline and patience is a skill that Mikey possesses over Errol Spence so far. We're coming to the last one that I'm going to discuss, and this is endurance. This is going to be very important in this upcoming fight. Endurance and conditioning. Errol Spence has a reputation of being a gym rat. He has a reputation of keep going, continue to work. He has a reputation of not tiring out in fights, being fresh late, showing the same speed, quickness, power, agility, all throughout the fight. The same as in the first round is the same as you're gonna get in the 9th, 10th round. And the reason why is because his extreme endurance and conditioning, and also because of all the other techniques that allows him not to take as much punishment, to the point in which he can be very fresh at the end of fights. And he has a good work rate. He is very accurate. He doesn't waste punches. This guy is a very accurate fighter, and I'm gonna make that the last point. Let's go back to endurance and conditioning. We've seen Mikey fade in fights. Seen Mikey take rounds off. I've seen Mikey take rounds off in the Robert Easter fight. I've seen Mikey take rounds off in the Adrian Broner fight. I've never seen Errol Spence take a round off, ever. Seen him show that same tenacity each and every round. Whether he was losing a round or winning a round, he was still showing that same effort and toughness, quickness, speed, all of that freshness that he has. And so now I'm going to make that last point. So far we have discipline for Mikey. All the rest of the skills, I'm not going to go over them right now, is for Errol Spence, is in heads and heels above Mikey. We're just going Mikey for everybody. Not that this diminishes Mikey's skill level. I'm just saying versus Errol Spence, I put Errol Spence on a higher level for his weight class and his ability versus Mikey Garcia. Last one I'm gonna go is accuracy. Accuracy. I say that Mikey has good timing and accuracy, but Mikey needs that timing, for that accuracy. Mikey sometimes comes up short because he's swinging from a distance in which he's not close enough. He's not in range to actually throw these punches sometimes. And he's trying to counter and he's trying to get his timing right. And a lot of times he's missing because he hasn't got his timing right. It takes him a few rounds sometimes to get that timing right. Well, on the other hand, Errol Spence has great timing and reflexes, which makes him a very much more accurate puncher. So he doesn't waste a lot of punches. He's not swinging at the air a lot. You see him connecting. He's hitting body a lot. So he's not aiming head hunting a lot to the point where once he does go upstairs, the guy is so worried about the body that he doesn't reflex in a way to protect his head. You seen it in the knockout versus Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri put his hands down because the body shot hurt, and when he put his hands down, it was an inopportune for Errol Spence to destroy him with a left hand. I mean, destroy him with a left hand, and it was so accurate it put him down for good. There was no getting up from that, And the same thing that happened in the Bundu fight, where Bundu was very elusive during the fight. But it got to the point where he used all that his ring generalship as cutting off the ring, cornered Bundu, and actually got him out of there with an accurate punch. Bundu never seen coming. Hook, night. He was out of there. He was asleep. So this wasn't a fight for him. So again, the accuracy, I'm gonna give that notch as another skill above Mikey Garcia. If y'all have some skills, if you think that you can debunk me or you think that I'm wrong on some skill, tell me how am I wrong on my judgment of giving the notch to Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia in the skill level. Go ahead, like, comment, give me something that tells me I'm wrong on one of these points. Please grab one of these points and start to debate me and tell me how that Mikey Garcia will be better than Errol Spence in any of these skills that I've named: speed, power, defense, footwork, cutting off the ring, quickness, range, discipline, athleticism, endurance. Anything outside of discipline, let me know. As always, Dre Spect the Boxing. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, man. I need subscribers. I need more views. Tell anybody that that knows boxing to come on over here and debate me. Peace.